Hey there guys, so I'm sure most of you have seen Michael Conlan's devastating knockout defeat to Luis Alberto Lopez that happened last weekend. And I wanted to give a few thoughts and opinions on where Michael Conlan should go next and what he should do if he wants to become a world champion in his career. So first of all, Michael Conlan is obviously a very talented fighter. I mean, this is a guy who's won the World Amateur Championships. He was a European champion, he was a Commonwealth champion. He was the champion of Ireland, numerous times. And he was just a stellar amateur, one of Ireland's best ever amateurs. And Ireland have had a lot of good amateurs over the years. And he was probably the standout. So Michael Conlan has obviously got a lot of talent, and he's obviously learnt a lot going through the amateur system, and he should have been able to take that into the pros. But as a pro, Michael Conlan has never really shown that he can be a world-class fighter. He's never shown that he can be competing with the elite guys at featherweight, and he's never shown that he can be a dominant force in the division. And I believe it's because of the fighting style that Michael Conlan uses. Now, obviously, Michael Conlan is trained by Adam Booth, who is the worst trainer in the entirety of British boxing, in my opinion. He's worse than guys like Ben Davison, in my opinion. The fighting style that he teaches his fighters, obviously hands down, all head movement, reflex-based style. There's a lot of problems with that style. Number one, the hands down. I mean, there are certain guys who historically have got away with having their hands down. I mean, Roy Jones, Nazim Hamed, and Sergio Martinez are sort of the top three guys that you think of when you think hands down style. But Hamed came in a time where no one had really seen that hands down style before, and no one had really seen that sort of Ingle style where you carry your hands very low, it's all head movement. No one really knew how to deal with that style, obviously, until he fought Barrera and got battered. But if Hamed had fought today, I don't think he would have anywhere near as much success as he had back then. I think that style is very easy to figure out. And when you've seen guys figure it out time and time again, it becomes very predictable and obvious how you beat it. Roy Jones was obviously on a lot of steroids. He was obviously a lot faster and a lot more athletic than every one of his opponents, because of his athletic ability and the steroids. And then you had Sergio Martinez, and Sergio Martinez spent half of his career on the canvas. I mean, he was dropped by Pavlik, Matthew Macklin, went down numerous times against Miguel Cotto, Martin Murray. So there are certain guys who, for whatever reason, can get away with it. But for most fighters, they can't get away with hands down styles. And Michael Conlan is one of these. And you saw in his fight against Lopez, I mean, he was carrying his hands down by his waist, getting hit with absolutely everything that Lopez was throwing. He barely slipped any punches at all, despite, that style being fully head movement based. He barely slipped under anything, barely got out of the way of anything, and most of the time he was just catching them on his chin. Number two, the style is very limited, in the way that it's very easy to break down. I mean, that style obviously is very erratic. You're using a lot of energy to get out of the way of punches like that. And if you've got someone who is really breaking you down to the body, then obviously that's going to sap your energy, and your head movement's not going to be anywhere near as effective. And usually when that happens, Adam Booth fighters usually get brutally knocked out. I mean, usually when Adam Booth fighters lose anyway, it's usually brutal knockouts. Like you look at Josh Kelly versus Avanesian, and I'll put some examples of this in the background. You look at obviously Conlan versus Lee Wood and Fernando Lopez. And you just look at some other examples like Andy Lee. He was constantly on the canvas when he got to world level. David Haye seriously struggled against pressure fighters. He was down against guys like Mormek. Who else was he down? He had a really tough fight against Fragomeni. And obviously he got beaten up by Carl Thompson. And even George Groves got dropped by Kenny Anderson and had tough fights against the likes of Carl Froch, got knocked spark out. So the style's very limited, and I don't think anyone should really fight that way. Guys like David Haye and George Groves can get away with it because they had elite level power and could finish the fight with one punch at any moment. But if you're a Josh Kelly or a Michael Conlan who isn't a particularly big puncher, you're probably going to go the distance, and yeah, if you win, that is, and the chance of you getting knocked out is always there. So I went back and watched some of Michael Conlan's amateur fights, and I watched his amateur fight against Vladimir Nikitin, and he fought with a fundamentally sound style. He had his tight guard up, and he was just doing what you should, he was just very fundamentally sound, using his jab, throwing his right hand, just trying to outpoint Nikitin. And I think if he swaps trainer now, he needs to do it quick because he's still, he's getting on a bit. He's 31. He's not going to have that much time left. And if he goes to just any good trainer out there, Shane McGuigan or someone like that, anyone who will take you back to the fundamentals, and get you boxing properly. I still think Michael Conlan can become a world champion in his career. I mean, he's got some really good attributes. He's very fast. He's very durable. I mean, he took some seriously solid shots from Lopez. He was taking shots while hurt as well. And obviously he's got bags of amateur experience. And that's obviously going to transfer to the pros if he fights the right way. So yeah, just wanted to give a few thoughts on Michael Conlan's career. I think if he stays fighting with Adam Booth as his trainer, I think he may as well just retire, because I don't see him beating Rabezi Ramirez. I don't see him beating Ray Vargas. I don't think he beats Lee Wood in a rematch, and I don't think he should even consider the possibility of rematching Lopez. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and God bless.